Hello ladies and gentlemen, WillE here, and today we're going to take a dive into looking at what expectations and goals you may have within Classic World of Warcraft. Whether you are a vanilla vet, a private server pro, or a fresh face to the game, there are some things that remain true for everyone. This is going to be more of a podcast. There isn't going to be much on the screen apart from some beta clips. This video isn't supposed to be a guide on anything, but more of an in-advance look into what life may be like once Classic is finally here. So you've heard about Classic, and to be fair, Blizzard hasn't exactly promoted it much. Word of mouth has done their job for them in this sense. What's the key reason you're going to be playing? Scarab Lord, rank 14? Revisiting your favourite zone maybe? Or perhaps seeing how your class played back then? Or is it something you just feel that you're going to do it no matter what because you're a big WoW fan and you want to relive how it all began? I think the last one applies for me. It's no secret that much of the late game content came after many hours of grinding through the leveling process, and I just need to emphasise how long leveling takes. The fastest 1 to 60 has been recorded by Joanna in 4 days 20 hours played. That's not over 4 hours and 20 days, that's in-game time. This is after incredibly detailed routing, numerous runs and servers that aren't packed to the brim. For someone who has a couple hours a night or a few times a week, you're realistically looking at 3 to 5 months depending on your time played and whether you're actively using a quest guide or just going along at your own pace. So if you're interested in the raiding scene, this may be a limiting factor. So once you hit level cap, you're still a ways off getting some decent gear to go together for a raid either. Finally, raids in vanilla progress linearly, with catch-up gear in phase 4, from crafted sets, and a single-digit percentage of the player base got to see any progression in Naxxramas because of this, amongst other factors. Raiding will largely depend on your guild's attitude, but for most people it will still involve actively playing the game. Raid logging doesn't really cut it in Classic, especially when certain bosses required you to farm resistance gear or just farming consumables, since gold was a lot harder to come by. Finally, bosses do not drop much loot. I suspect many people these days will use loot cancel or possibly rolling over DKP, but with such few items dropping, it's super important to prioritise classes who scale the best to aid your raid as a whole. Also, as a new guy or someone who turns up to every couple raids, many guilds will be happy to bring you along, I'm sure, but I wouldn't expect to get that much loot. Maybe you don't care about raiding or even PvP, you just want to hop on in the evening every now and again and get a little bit done, you know, something to look forward to at the end of the day. And you might feel that all this talk of raiding, min-maxing racials, planning to do all this stuff in advance is just a bit silly, takes the fun and sort of the mystery, the intrigue out of the game as well. All the same, there are a few things that I would recommend even if you consider yourself to be more on this end of the player base. If you plan one thing, just one thing in advance of Classic, have a good idea how you will have enough gold to get your mount at or around level 40. Even if you intend to play casually, there's taking your time and then there's getting your mount at level 50. Getting around will already take up much of your time, and if you're more limited in your time, then this will be exacerbated tremendously. Trust me when I say you're already going to be spending plenty of time in each zone you level in, even with a mount. Try to avoid delaying this purchase. There isn't really a magic number if you need to play X amount of time to make Classic worth playing. The whole notion is pretty sensationalist, to be honest. It all depends on what you want out of the game. Want to get a server first Ragnaros kill? You're going to need to put a huge amount of hours in to make Classic worthwhile. Do you want to clear all dungeons? It doesn't matter how much you play at all. Also, if you are on the more casual side, I'd be wary of rolling a PvP server. Now, I know some of you guys out there are going to feel as though it's a matter of pride rolling on a PvP server, that you played on a PvP server back in the day and that's how the game should be for you, but I'd really consider what you're getting yourself into. There'll be a mass influx of people no-lifing the game to the max. Also, there are no PvP rank rewards until phase 2, so if you start hitting level cap around phase 2, there's going to be an absolute ton of people will PvPing when that drops, and there's no battlegrounds until phase 3, so people are going to be ganking a hell of a lot. Contested zones are going to be packed, and getting sent to the graveyard a few times extra an hour isn't really the most fun when you have no realistic chance to put up a defense against someone a much higher level. Whatever you think of it, there will be people who play specifically to gank in certain zones. That's the game for them, and you should be prepared if you are going to be taking your time and still rolling a PvP server. This is the vanilla experience after all. And remember, you can always flag yourself for PvP on PvE servers, so it's not like PvP will never happen there, it's just a choice whether that level 60 rogue one-shots you, not something you just have to deal with. Try to find a guild before Classic releases. You might think this is something just for the hardcore players who want to be in a group of like-minded players to aim for raiding as soon as possible, but I would argue that it's even more important for the casual player base, as people know lifing will get hoovered up by the guilds at 60 as you just need so many people for raids. Over many years, retail WoW has facilitated itself towards solo play, LFG, the LFR, more accessibility through posting items on the auction house, etc. In Classic, being part of something is one of the key elements of the game. Come Classic launch, there's going to be a huge number of new guilds, and honestly, you're unlikely to know which is an established guild that's been around for many years, and which has been set up by a few people and might not even last a few weeks. I would strongly advise to check the Classic WoW Guild Finder Discord to find a social, friendly guild. Even if you only play a few hours a night and aren't really the most social person, you still need a party for dungeons. You can ask questions and for help. You can quest together. There are many quests that need group activities or to help you get tags on mobs. And most importantly, there will be reputable people to trade with for hopefully reasonable prices within your guild for enchants, bags, etc. There are so many reasons life is better in a guild, and it's even better if you join an established guild with a larger and steady core player base. And even if you don't want to spoil yourself heavily before release and you're trying to save yourself for when Classic does come out, don't limit yourself too much from publicly available knowledge, especially for where to quest at which level. As mentioned, you're already going to be spending much of your time doing this, and corpse running if you are stuck up against mobs 4 or 5 levels higher than you is going to get old pretty quick. But for all those joining the hardcore guilds, planning on planning a silly number of hours through the blood, sweat and tears of it all, I'm going to be right there with you. It's going to be one hell of an experience. At the end of the day, you need to be realistic with yourself. There are no special requirements for playing Classic. Whether you reach 60 on week 2 or week 22, it's going to be a once-in-a-lifetime chance to relive this near 15-year-old game back when it was brand new. So what are your goals and plans for Classic? Let me know. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Cheers. Bye.